Okay guys, so we're looking at this 1-point perspective packet, and you can be working on this in your sketchbook or on a separate piece of paper to do the exercises inside. You're going to want some sort of a straight edge. It can be a ruler, it could be a book, it could be a separate piece of paper, just something that has a flat edge that you can trace against. Paper is probably the toughest because it's hard to hold a piece of paper and draw a straight edge against it. So if you can find a ruler or like a book in your house so that you can have a straight edge to trace against and make your straight lines, that would be fantastic, because being able to make straight lines when you're working on 1-point perspective is really important. Okay, so there's going to probably be 3 separate videos to look at these 3 separate prompts, so that those of you that can't watch one long video at once at home can do them in 3 separate steps, or so that you make sure you're taking breaks and not getting overwhelmed, because it is a little bit of a tough concept. So if I'm just looking at prompt 1 on the second page where it says 1-point perspective, apply your knowledge, it says in the space below, draw a horizontal line, draw a vanishing point, follow the instructions each section, use 1-point perspective techniques to make objects appear 3D, and make sure you erase unused lines connecting to the vanishing point. Okay, so our first prompt, we're going to call this prompt A, says draw 3 objects. 1 must be curved. Draw 1 above, 1 below, and 1 on the horizon line. Okay, so this is how prompt A is going to look. In my sketchbook, you can work vertical or horizontal, it doesn't matter. We're doing exactly what they're showing us to do in the first, I would say, first 6 steps here on page 1. Okay, so step 1 on page 1 says draw a horizon line. So I'm just going to get my ruler out and try to keep it straight. I'm going to draw my horizon line. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try again. I must have caught the edge of my ruler. There we go. Alright, so I've done step 1. I've drawn my horizon line. Step 2 says place the vanishing point on the horizon line. Again, a vanishing point is where we look out into the distance, like if we're going down, looking down a railroad track or looking down a straight gravel road, and everything kind of comes to that triangle and disappears. That's that vanishing point. That's what we're making there. And step 3 here says place objects above, below, and on the horizon line. Okay. So we're going to place an object below, above, and on the horizon line. And it says we must use at least 1 curved object. So we're going to do the easy curved object. We're going to do a circle. We'll do triangle, that's on our horizon line. And then we'll do a square, that's down below our horizon line. Okay. And now step 4 says use a ruler and line up the edges of the object with the vanishing point. Draw a straight line. Okay, so if I start with my circle, this is going to be like if we're looking at some sort of cylinder, like a pop can or a paper towel tube, something like that up in the air. I've just got these 2 edges on my curved side. Oops, that wasn't quite lined up. And that's the tricky part with horizon lines. I mean, 1-point perspective, sorry. Just making sure I get everything lined up. Okay, and so my circle, or my curved object, I've only got my 2 points that can go back to the horizon line. I could put 1 here, but it wouldn't do it any good. It would be the same as these outside ones. We're just looking for outside points. So when I go down to my triangle that is on the horizon line, I've got these 2 points for sure that are going to head back into space towards my vanishing point. So I'm going to make a line, a straight line between my bottom point touching the point of my object, touching my horizon, or I'm sorry, my vanishing point with my ruler, going back into space. And if I look at this guy out here, I can't get to my vanishing point without going through my object, so I'm not going to do anything with him. Same thing when I go down to my square, I want to first look for all my points that could go back in space, and then I'm going to look for the ones that can head to the vanishing point without going through my object. And then if I check down here, I can't head to my vanishing point without going through my object, so I get to ignore him. Alright. And that's what the packet says here too. It says if lines go only through the object when connecting to the vanishing point, you do not need to include that line. And this is also a good tip here. It says draw lines lightly to allow erasing later. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Alright, and then step 5, that's where we're at right now, still on the front of the packet, says redefine the edges of the object to make them appear to be receding in space. Okay, that might sound kind of confusing, but all that means is that we're finding the second edge. We're finding the back side of this pop can. We're finding the back side of this triangle. We're finding the back side of this box, or this will become a pyramid. Okay? Something really important to learn in perspective, with 1 point perspective at least, is whatever is happening in the front is what's going to happen in the back here. Here's how it's going to look. If my pop can up in the sky here is around in the front, that means wherever I decide to end it in the back, it's going to be the same shape. It's going to echo whatever I see up front here. So whatever's happening in the front needs to happen in the back. Okay, so I rounded up that off there. Same with my triangle. Whatever's happening in the front here, it's easier with straight edge things. Whatever's happening in the front here, I just slide my ruler back. And that's what needs to happen in the back. This is going to look kind of like a tent sitting up on my horizon line. Same with my square down here, or my box down here. Whatever's happening in the front needs to happen in the back. So if I've got a kind of horizontal line, my box is kind of sitting sideways. So it's not quite totally horizontal, but whatever's happening here, I need to scoot my ruler back, or scoot my book back, scoot my straight edge back, and copy what's happening in the back here. Some kids try to like fake it or guess, and this is where you get all sorts of like, let me show you that. This is where you get all sorts of weird looking boxes and circles and things going back into space, because you're not copying what's happening in front. If I drop my line back like this, that's not what's happening up front here. Up front here, it's an almost vertical line. So that's what needs to happen in back here. This is almost vertical line. Oops, I erased that. Okay, for my 3D objects to look successful in 1 point perspective, I need to have a copy of whatever's happening in the front to happen in the back. Okay, and so this is how it might look. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is, let's go to step 6 first. It says erase the lines that connect the new edges of the object to the vanishing point. Objects above the horizon line will appear to be above eye level. Objects on the horizon line will appear to be at eye level. And objects below the horizon line would appear to be below eye level. And that just means exactly what it sounds like. If I'm looking at this pop can up in the air, it looks like it's above me because it's drawn above eye level. This tent that we made down here is on the horizon line, so it looks like it's at eye level. When I look out at it, it's like I'm looking straight out at it. It's at eye level. And this box down here is something that's below eye level, so that means I'm looking down on it. I'm looking at a box on the ground. So that's all that means. And then it talks about erasing the lines that connect the new edges of the object to the vanishing point. So that means these extra lines back here. I can get rid of all those. There we go. Okay. And then number 7 says add details, experiment with odd shapes, and try adding cutouts to your shapes. And then it has some tips on how to do that. So let's talk about this first one first, because I think this is a tricky one and it's going to help us with prompt B with this writing your letters thing. So let's maybe practice this one and this one here. Okay. So if I have an object that's got all sorts of crazy sides like this, I still need to do what I did with these other easier objects. I need to find all the points or sides that could go back in space. And this takes a little bit of practice. You might miss some the first couple times you practice. But I find all these points that could go back into space. And then I'm going to start using my ruler to find the ones that really should go back into space. Okay, so I kind of missed it over here. I marked here, but really it should be here, where I can touch the vanishing point, and I can touch my object and go back into space. So I was saying that I marked here, but it's really this edge right here that's going back into space. And then right up here, inside my curve, it's heading back into space. I could use this one if I want. You don't necessarily have to. This guy back here. And then I marked up here, but it's really right here. This guy here. And let's see here. Checking these other points. There's really not a lot of other spaces that can head back without going through my object. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then just like we practiced on these other shapes, whatever's happening in the front needs to happen in the back. So I'm going to do my best to copy what I see happening here. I've got kind of a curved line that heads up and then back down and around like that. And I've got this kind of goofy 3D butterfly shape. And then this part down here talks about creating cutouts. And so like the example they give us a square, and we could do that here. Where you think about this being like a little, I don't know, building or tunnel. We've got all these new sets of points. And whatever's happening here, we've got this point that's going back into space. Could just go straight back like that. They got kind of fancy and said, okay, this is that back side here that's coming down. So this will be my back side here coming down. Oops, and then they got a front side that they copied like that. So that could be an option too. Just remember that this is just practice. It does not have to be perfect today. This is just kind of our first jump into how to make 3D objects with 1-point perspective. Okay. Alright guys, good luck. And certainly let me know if you have any questions. If you get done with prompt A and you're feeling good about it and want to head straight to prompt B, go for it. If you feel like you need a break and are going to come back to prompt B the next day, that's okay too. I'm going to take a break and then come back and show you how to work on prompt B.